Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Anna and today we'll be making some natural homemade deodorant. You may be asking why this is related to chronic illness. This is very closely tied to MCAS, which I wasn't sure why I was having irritation and itching on skin in my armpits. It turns out it was because the deodorant and all the chemicals that I was using, something in the deodorant was irritating me. So it sent me off on this path trying to find how to make my own with the least amount of ingredients possible and make sure that it wasn't going to trigger the itchiness. I had tried everything else. I tried all the natural deodorants, as most people joke around. They either didn't work, they were very, very harsh smelling, they still irritated me. So that sent me off on this path. And I have made this once before. This is only my second attempt. Largely, I'm going to be doing exactly the same as the first time. The only exception is this time I'll be using a coffee filter to filter the oils through. But last time I just used a regular kitchen filter, and that left a little bit of chunks and whatnot in it. So we'll try the coffee filter this time and see how it works. I loved the smell of this. It's a nice light smell. I actually use real lavender because I have a lavender patch out in my garden. So we'll go through some of that, but if you don't have lavender, you can just use essential oils instead. You have basically 5 main ingredients in this deodorant. You have baking soda, cornstarch. Some people use arrowroot. I prefer what's in my kitchen. Coconut oil, shea butter, and lavender, or you can use an essential oil. What these ingredients do is baking soda helps remove smell. It's your bread and butter of deodorant. It's what's going to help you not stink. The cornstarch is going to help if you perspire or have any wetness. It'll help absorb some of that. These 2 ingredients are what's going to help nourish your skin and help the spreadability of the deodorant. And then the lavender or the essential oils is what's going to add the scent to the deodorant. The other auxiliary items you may need a few bowls. I'm going to use coffee filter. If you have a cheesecloth or a filter, like a regular kitchen filter, you can use that. And a bowl for the dry ingredients, as well as a tablespoon measuring. So my favorite part of this project was actually starting last week and going out and picking the lavender that I have in my lavender patch. After I picked the lavender, I tied it up in little bundles and hung it in my bathroom to dry for a week. After the lavender has been dried, it's been a little bit over a week. We take the lavender, and if you squeeze it kind of together between your fingers, most of the lavender petals will simply fall off. Next, we're going to prepare our dry ingredients because we're going to need them immediately following the next step. So it's 6 tablespoons of baking soda, and 4 tablespoons cornstarch. Next, you're going to want to start a pot boiling. In the meanwhile, you want to scoop up your wet ingredients, if you will. So it's 4 tablespoons shea butter. If I can get it out of here. And then it's 6 tablespoons of the coconut oil. The next step, once you have your water boiling at a low boil, you're going to put your pot with the oils in to melt them down. And you're going to add, if you're choosing to do the actual lavender, you're going to put your lavender in, and you're going to wait for this to melt, kind of stir it around for about 5 minutes or so to let the lavender steep into the oils and really absorb the scent. So as you're stirring it in and melting the oils down, you may want to turn down the temperature as to not have your pot boil over. But we just want to wait for this all to melt down, really get that lavender scent in there. Everything is nice and boiled down. It's had a good long 5 minutes to steep. Now I will give you warning, this next step, you want to be ready with your dry ingredients because you're going to be putting it into the coffee filter to filter through into your jar of choice. And then you're going to immediately be stirring in your dry ingredients. So you want to be ready so that it doesn't start to cool and clump up before you're ready with the dry ingredients. So have them handy next to your bowl, your jar, I should say, your final jar. So now you're going to be pouring your liquid into the coffee filter, letting it strain through. We'll see how this works. So you may need to give it a squeeze. It's not too hot. Like a tea bag. Just be careful. Yeah, I don't know if I like this as much. Oh, this isn't going great. Definitely filtered through the other easier. Let me see if I can get more in this and then squeeze it. Okay, so we got it all in there. See if I can get this to filter through. It's actually not too hot. Well, this isn't going how I hoped. It's definitely a little more hands-on than I'd hoped. Maybe having a wider jar would be helpful. Still leaving a little bit of crumbs in it as well, but not bad. Not as much as last time. Okay, so now I'm able to kind of squeeze it through. This definitely didn't go how I was expecting. Maybe a different type of coffee filter would work better, but this was an experiment. Whoops, well, that certainly didn't help. So once you have enough oil squeezed out of the lavender, there we go, now it's not quite as hot. I think it's gonna pop out the bottom soon though. Looks like the thing's popping open a little at the bottom. There we go. So I've gotten most of the oils out. We'll set that aside. And then you want to spoon in your dry ingredients. Actually, I'm going to use a filter or a funnel here to help me get the dry ingredients in. Did think ahead on that one. That was my snafu last time. So put that in. Oh, it's like the perfect amount. And then you're going to want to stir this. It's obviously a messy job this way. It wasn't as messy when I used the other regular kitchen filter. Smells so good in the kitchen right now. I wish all you could smell the smell. So now it's kind of starting to get cooled, but you want to make sure there's no big lumps. And I'm going to pick out a few of these big pieces that actually pop through the coffee filter. I don't mind the little pieces. Let's see how it's kind of turning white. It's blending in with the oil. And that's what we want. If you have any helpful hints, please let me know on how to filter the lavender a bit easier without all this mess. I like using the natural lavender rather than the oils though, the essential oils. Okay, that looks pretty good and mixed. So now we'll cap it up. We'll put it in the fridge for only about 5 minutes. We don't want to go from extreme hot to extreme cold because I don't want the glass breaking. But you do want to put it in there to kind of solidify while these ingredients are mixed together. So as you can see, most of that went as expected, but the experiment with the coffee filter didn't quite go as I had hoped. The previous time I used a filter like this, but obviously with these large holes, it let a lot more of the lavender through. I would like your recommendations if anybody has any experience with infusing oils. What type of filters do you use? I was thinking maybe next time, I did like it didn't let too much of the material through in this. So if I had something like some tongs, maybe next time I could gather it up and use the tongs to squeeze. Maybe that would make it a little easier, or I don't know. Please give me some suggestions. So this is finished congealing now, and it has a great normal consistency. It's pretty much like any other lotion. You will feel there's a slight, not a grit, but you just feel that there's the cornstarch and the baking soda. When you put that in your armpit, you won't feel it at all. It just rubs in like a regular lotion, and it kind of melts into the skin, as you can see it's kind of doing here on my fingers. And that'll help absorb into your skin pretty quickly. It doesn't leave you greasy or gross, as you would think. So after all that, we did end up with a good product overall. It has a little bit less of the cloudiness than it did last time because we put it through the coffee filter. Obviously, I still have a few kinks to work out, but it still turned out a great product. Last time I only made about half batch of this, and it lasted me for about a month, a little over a month, so hopefully this will last me about 2 months or so. Some of it depends on how thickly you're going to put it on. You may ask why I do all this, but over the course of the last month, I've had one less thing that I've had to deal with while dealing with my chronic illness. I haven't had itchy armpits, and that may seem insignificant, but to me, it's one less thing I have to deal with. And overall, that improves not only my physical health, but my mental health. I do struggle sometimes with depression and anxiety, and thinking about a Nietzsche quote, he said, if you look too long into the abyss looks back into you. And he's basically saying if you dwell on the things that aren't good in your life or that are troubling you, it can overcome you. And I'm just hoping that by sharing these sort of things, that it's one less thing that you, no matter whether you're dealing with depression, grief, anxiety, or a chronic illness like me, that it's one less thing that you also have to deal with. You have to take the wins in life where you get them, and hopefully this is just one small part of hopefully a lot of people's healing, as it's part of mine. I hope to see you in our next video.